Okay, let's talk about a few concepts, a few ideas relative to the Ready, Set, Go drill and the important facets of what we want to be thinking about and feeling as we work the Ready, Set, Go drill through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. Just let the video run here for a little bit. The lines I've drawn in there represent my spine angle and my hip position relative to my spine angle. Pretty much in a condition where my hips remain at a 90 degree or perpendicular condition to my spine angle, which would be just an anatomically neutral, natural position to be in as we make our swing. Okay, going from the ready position, we'll create that first pivot into our trailing hip, right hip for right-handed golfer. As we do that, we're working the release board, in this case, back into a condition where it's in the plane of the swing nicely. In other words, that board rotates in such a way that when we do make that backswing movement, the board is rotated into the plane of the swing. And then on the through swing, we'll see the board enter the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, rotating over into a condition where it's again into the plane of the swing right there through impact. You see that? Okay. So thinking a little bit more about what happens and what takes place during the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock ready, set, go movement. First pivot to the set position in the swing. All right, and then we initiate our go move, which is a second pivot into the left hip as we make the downswing movement. Now, as we enter that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, prior to impact actually, we'll begin to feel our left arm rotate over in a counterclockwise position or turn over in such a way that our entire left arm, wrist, back of the left hand, that whole part of our anatomy actually rotates over basically 180 degrees. If you'll notice here that my watch now is facing outward, away from me. And then as I make the arm swing through the impact zone, you'll see my watch rotating over in such a position that at this point my watch is facing behind me. That's essentially a 180 degree rotation of my left arm through that impact zone, or that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone as we call it. And again, something that all good ball strikers, shot makers, and players, good players in general, do is that they go through the golf ball really well. Now what that means is that they're not in a condition where they're beginning to swing at the ball. We'll be swinging through the ball to the target. And we'll be doing this in a fluid manner, meaning we're really not thinking about the movements, we're just making them. In order to get to that point, again, as we say in the R3 approach, it requires correct and sufficient repetitions of the movement. Every movement counts in terms of developing these movements with the objective of becoming fluidly good with them. Notice too here, as I come through that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, as I get to this point in the swing guide is actually reattaching to my left forearm area, which is where it was at the set position in the swing. So again, as we make that downswing move, the go move, through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, we're going to feel and sense the right kind of rotation taking place in that forearm and wrist area. Notice also how at this point the back of my left wrist, forearm, and hand, they end up in a pretty flat position. So there's no hinging or buckling of my left wrist as I make that move through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. Very important movements in the golf swing to have. And notice too how all of this movement is taking place around my spine angle. Spine angle is not changing. I'm just creating the two pivots, the first pivot and the second pivot, around that spine angle. As I do that, my arms are rotating over in such a way that we see the board releasing from turning over essentially 180 degrees from a set position to a released position. All right, ready, set, go drill through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock area. Hugely important in terms of developing good fluid motion. we have these kinds of movements going on, solid golf shots are much more likely to occur. And what's most important is that when our rhythm and timing is a little off, the misses are better. And golf, after all, is a game of misses. It's not how good we can hit it, it's how good we can miss it, actually. That determines how well we score. Okay, very good thoughts and positions to consider here. And go ahead and process these movements and continue doing good work.